Love stories are under attack right now. And as somebody who writes a lot of love stories, this is very near and dear to my heart. But if you are somebody who reads and enjoys love stories, if you are someone who watches love stories, this matters to you too. And we're heading into Valentine's Day, so let's talk about what's going on now, what's proposed for the future, and what you can do about it. Recently, under the new administration, the U.S. Department of Education not only dismissed the outstanding complaints against book bans, they also eliminated the book ban coordinator position, which was originally put in place to help provide guidance and training around protecting students' civil liberties, their right to access information when reviewing whether books belonged in spaces that young people could access them. That has already happened. We're also seeing some scarier things proposed for the future, like a bill that was introduced in Oklahoma called SB593. It threatens jail time for anyone who publishes, sells, or even gives away books that they broadly deem obscene material. That would be defined by whoever is in power when they want to look at that material. And as we've seen recent rise in challenges to books where LGBT people merely exist, and we've historically always seen people dismiss romance stories, romance novels, as books without literary merit or things to be scorned because they are written primarily by and for women. We know that love stories in general, and especially love stories that feature any sort of queer folks, are on the chopping block. Now, this is unpopular. 71% of Americans are against book bans. But we continue to see these very loud far-right minority groups like Moms for Liberty, like No Left Turn in Education, that are driving these concentrated efforts to remove all diverse books and anything that discusses the complexity of human nature from public libraries. And if we see these unpopular proposed bills, like in states like Oklahoma, pass, we could reach a point where romance books are removed from distribution entirely. No one can write them, no one can produce them, no one can own them, at the risk of jail time. These attacks target, obviously, these stories that celebrate and uplift the experience of diverse people, but they also, not coincidentally, target a growing base of financial security for female authors, for LGBT authors, for neurodivergent authors. Last year in 2024, women were behind 7 out of the 10 top-selling books in 2024. And a lot of that was due to the popularity of romance and romantic subplots in fantasy, which we're terming romantasy, pretty much exclusively when women write them. But we've seen that growth in traditional publishing in a space that has classically been dominated by white men start to expand and diversify a bit. We see that in the indie and self-published space, diverse authors do even better than they do in that traditional published space. According to the Alliance for Independent Authors, women earned 40.9% more than men, and LGBT authors earned almost 19% more than straight authors when we look at that indie and self-published space. It's no coincidence that a genre that primarily benefits women and LGBT people, both financially and in the way that it celebrates and empowers and uplifts our stories and our experiences, has a target on its back. As we're seeing right-wing leaders across the country stripping people of color, people with disabilities, trans people of their civil rights, criminalizing their existence. So it is extremely important to support these stories right now, alongside the other actions we're all taking, more direct actions to protect civil rights in a constitutional democracy. But this is the time to support, with your wallet, with your time, with your voice, the stories that not only celebrate the complexity of life and the existence of a diverse group of people, but also financially benefit those people. So buy books by women, buy books by queer people, buy books by authors of color, buy books that are under attack for their content. That's queer books, that's romance books, that's books that talk about race and gender and sexuality and disability and economic inequality. But, times are hard. You do not have to buy things to support these things. Borrow them from your library, borrow them from a friend, talk about them. It is so tempting to support things in secret when times are uncertain, but please review these books, hype them up on social media, recommend them to your friends, talk about them. We cannot let the stupidest evil in the world drive people into darkness. We're going into Valentine's Day. It's a win-win. You get the escape of a great book, a happy ending, and the people you support live to tell more stories.